It's time for the Money Puzzle Podcast, with good conversations and realistic solutions to the money puzzles we all face every day. I'm your host, financial advisor, chartered financial consultant, and president of Edgen Insurance and Financial, Robert Edgen. Now let's get this show started. Hi there, hello, and welcome to the Money Puzzle Podcast. I am Robert Edgen, and I'll be your guide for the ride for the next few minutes. Each week, we look at a different piece of the money puzzle and practical ways to solve it so you can have the financial confidence you deserve and the
future that you dream of.
You're so excited when you say that, Brian. The future that you dream of. Listen, that's exciting to me. The future that you dream of. Why isn't that not exciting to you?
It's the day and age that we're living in right now.
You're having a hard time being excited today. And I can't blame you because I know you feed off of my energy, and we're normally next to each other when we do this. And we're doing this from across the state of Colorado from our respective offices and home offices. So how are you guys up in Denver?
It's okay. I mean, it's a strange time. Nobody's at the office. Nobody's on the. It feels like a Sunday morning, and I'm sitting at my desk for some reason.
Well, every morning, actually, I almost don't refer to them as Monday anymore. It's just day. It's
right.
It's day or night. So, in fact, I've found this is something that we've been talking about. We've been busier than normal. Maybe not as productive because we've been dealing with all of the, financial crisis and the situation and helping clients. So, it's been productive in as far as the realm of helping clients, but really it's just has felt disconnected, which I think a lot of the world feels right now.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, it's odd. And I don't know how else to say it. It doesn't feel like a normal, everything is off.
All right, well, listen, I want you to feel my good juju coming through the screen, coming through the camera, put a smile on that face, and let's get down to it, because today we are going to talk about how to deal with a crisis in general, a financial crisis, some things to know and to be prepared specifically for the corona crisis, because that's what we're in. But what I have realized is that this is just the crisis of today. There's been others, there'll be others, right?
Oh, yeah. I mean, there was one, 11 years ago?
Well, we had that. We had Zika scares and Ebola scares. None of those turned into this kind of crisis, but we've been dealing with financial and economic turbulence basically since the beginning of financial and economics have begun, right? It's always happened.
Oh, yeah. Absolutely. And even just losing a job could be a crisis for some people.
A few weeks ago, I did a podcast on dealing with the investment side of the crisis and the 4 things that you could do. You could either sell out, phase out, you could ride it out, or you could buy in. So we talked about that. But today we're going to talk about just some financial tips in general for dealing with a financial crisis. Right. Am I right, Brian?
That's right.
So, all right. So let's go ahead and get down to it with number 1 is spend less than you make. And in general, that's a good, that's a good theory for life in general. Am I right?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Without spending less than you make, you're never going to retire, right? So you have to. But in today's world we're at right now, think about your cell phone bill. Think about your cable bill, your electricity bill. Talking to your mortgage company to see what I read a deal yesterday from Bank of America. They're like 50,000 people. They're giving leeway in order to be able to try to catch up from this virus that's going around because of loss of jobs or being furloughed or whatever. So Bank of America is working with people, so others would be working with them too, I would think.
Yeah, in general, you should be spending less than you make. A coronavirus, a financial crisis. If you are always spending less than you make, then you are much more prepared to deal with these kinds of situations. But if you're not, then you have to go cut expenses as fast as you can.
Right.
So can you trim down your cable bill? Can you trim down your phone bill? Can you stop getting lattes? Do you have to eat out? You can't eat out, but you can pick up.
That's
right.
That reminds me, one of the things that's kind of crazy for us is, because I have 4 kids, is the fact that we're constantly running out of food at the house.
Well, yeah. I mean, you have to cook at home a lot more. You have to have
Yeah.
more food at home. Plus, the kids aren't in school, so they're eating more. Which so that totally makes sense.
Well, I'm eating at home too, which just blows everything out of the water.
That is also a part of it. I was thinking actually yesterday. It's hard to work from home and eat well when the pantry is 12 feet away from the office.
I know.
But you've got to cut expenses as quickly as possible if you find yourself in this kind of situation. And a lot of car insurance companies are now saying, if you can't pay your premiums, we won't cancel your policy. You're going to owe that money back, but you need to have that conversation with your insurance company on what happens if I can't pay, with your cable company, your rent, your mortgage. Not that you shouldn't pay if you can, because it's not that the money's just going to be forgiven. You're going to have some big lump sums or some way that you're going to have to catch up after the fact.
Oh yeah, I mean, the taxes are the same way. That's one thing to think about, because things have been pushed to July 15th now.
Yep.
And if you have the money to pay, if you owe money, if you have the money to pay it, you should pay it, or at least set some aside every single month, so that when July 15th comes around, you have the money to write the check and make that payment.
Yeah, absolutely. So, go cut those expenses, but if you can make the payments, keep making the payments, because it's just a deferment. Nobody's going to just give you the money for free, except maybe the federal government. They are giving away $1,200 per person if you qualify.
Yeah.
But in general, the money that you owe is still going to be owed. But going forward, don't get into this situation. Simplify your life by following a budget, and in general, spending less than you make, right?
Absolutely.
All right. So what else should we continue to do if we can when we're in this crisis?
Yeah. Continue to invest in your 401k if you're still employed. Don't stop it.
So no, or your IRA if you don't have your 401k. Whatever your investment plans were, if you cannot do those, of course, cut those things down. But if you can, there might not be a better time to invest in your lifetime, or at least, in the next couple of years or decades, because everything is on sale right now. Am I right?
Well, yeah, absolutely. And that goes back to spending less than you make, because if you're in a position where you have cash on hand, we've had many clients call us and want to invest more money now than they had previously been wanting to. So you're in a position to capitalize on a correction in the market.
Yeah, you're buying cheap. And we've had conversations in the past that really what gets you to that retirement level, or, that money in the portfolio that you need to pay your bills in retirement, is time in the market.
That's right.
So just because we've got, ups and downs, which there's always ups and downs, this is just more of a down. That doesn't change the fact that you need to have your money invested. You need to have that time in the market. And a lot of clients are calling us, Brian, who are not, in retirement yet, who are still years and years away. And I know a lot of times our best advice is invest more, put more in, take the money that was sitting on the sidelines in cash, or just sitting in the savings account doing nothing. This is a great time to put it in the market and add it to your portfolio and get that rise up when it does rise up.
Absolutely.
And Brian, will it rise back up?
Good question. So I was on a conference call with, Dr. Kelly is his name. He's an economist. But anyways, it was really interesting. And we all know this. It's just actually putting it into words. Zero times has the stock market not ever recovered. I should probably rephrase that. At no time has the stock market never recovered. Right?
What about after the Great Depression?
Well, it took some time, but it went up. So think about it this way. Let's just say off the stock market lows, let's say it takes 5 years to get back to where it was.
Okay.
It's an 8% return a year.
That's still pretty darn good.
I mean, why? Yeah. Every single year, 8%, that's not a bad deal. What if it recovers in 2 years?
What
if it only takes a year to recover?
Yeah.
I mean, that's some of those things that when we're dealing with the emotional side of things, one of our clients, I had many conversations trying to talk them off the ledge, And finally, last Thursday, I could no longer do that. No matter what, I want out, I want out, I want out. Well, this morning, the market was up 1,200 points. I don't know what it is right now. And Friday, it was up. So we sold out on Thursday.
Yeah.
Just think of what has been missed and recapture, even though the portfolio was not doing bad at all. It really wasn't, because it was so conservative. We did our job on designing that portfolio, and it was not that bad.
Well, you're getting into a different conversation of pulling out versus riding it out. But in general, as far as continuing to invest, I mean, even if somebody did say, you know what, I'm not comfortable with where things are at, I want to move some of my money to the sidelines, that doesn't mean that they shouldn't keep investing in their 401k. Am I correct?
That's right. Absolutely.
Yeah, absolutely. Because it gives you the chance to ride this wave that will eventually happen. And you're right. Even if it takes a couple of years to get back, even if it takes 4 years to get back from the lows, that's about a 10% gain per year. So there's a lot of room for growth. So really what it comes down to is, have your goals changed, and when are these goals needing to come to fruition? When are you going to need to spend this money? It all comes down to remembering your long-term plans and goals.
Right. Absolutely. So we've all created financial plans for a reason, because we're looking ahead towards a specific date in the future. So in my case, 20 years down the road, let's say. So we're looking ahead towards that. If my goal is still 20 years down the road to be able to retire, why should I change things now?
Mm-hmm.
We shouldn't.
Yeah, that's right. Why should you change things now? So it's a good time, if you've not heard from your advisor or had a conversation with your advisor, to have that talk about, based on what my goals are, do I need to change anything? And I know, Brian, we've had a lot of those conversations, and unless folks are in retirement or just getting ready to retirement, the most of the time it is stick with the long-term plan, because your long-term plan hasn't changed, right?
That's right.
Yeah. Now, another question that I know that we have been getting is, should I borrow in order to go invest? Should I take money out of my house? Should I cash out? So I think in general we feel the same way, but Brian, should you go borrow a bunch of money in order to go invest?
Absolutely not. No way. That's more of a gambling position, in my opinion, than actually investing, because you're risking one asset to try to gain in another asset. And I do not think, or never recommend, that is worth it at all.
Yeah, there's a difference from investing what you have in savings,
right,
because you actually have that, versus borrowing. Now you're leveraging another asset and putting another asset at risk to invest in a different place. So taking money from a savings account, I would not touch your emergency fund, because that is probably, more important than ever to have,
right now. Absolutely.
Yeah. But accessing money that's being lazy and not doing anything, sure, that's a great time to get invested. If it makes sense for you, it's a conversation to have. However, borrowing from one asset, putting that asset at risk, probably not a good idea.
Yeah, no, I wouldn't recommend that at all. Well, even from a life insurance policy, I've had that question asked. Should I borrow from my life insurance policy to put in the stock market? No.
Right.
Because it jeopardizes your life insurance.
Right. You can do it, but should you do it? And speaking of that, a lot of life insurance policies already mimic markets, or have investment options. Not all, but some of them do. So it's a good conversation to have with your life insurance agent, your financial advisor. But in general, do not borrow and put one asset at risk in order to invest in another asset.
That's right.
So, I think that gives us just something to pause and think about. And that's really what you should do, is pause and think about these things. And if you're not, coming up with these solutions in your own mind, by all means, have a conversation, have a virtual meeting with your advisor. If you've got some downtime, it's a great time just to review your plan and make sure that you're on the right track. Right?
Yeah, absolutely. Yep.
Okay. So, cut those expenses if you need to. have a conversation with your insurance provider, your cable provider, your cell phone provider. Cut those things first before you cut your 401k, your IRA investments, because this is a great time to be socking extra money away, right? And then remember your long-term goals and your plans. Make sure that you're on track. Did I miss anything?
No, I don't think you did.
Okay, so we're going to be continuing on with these conversations, but for now, I think that gives everybody just a little bit of ideas on what they need to do when they're thinking about how do I deal with this coronavirus. But I know we're going to be having a lot more of these conversations. I think we're going to get together and talk about emergency funds and different ways to think about that coming up pretty quick. But Brian, anything else before we wrap it up for today?
No, just stay safe. Keep looking towards the future, and if you're working, keep it going.
Keep working. All right, that's it for today. If you enjoyed the show, or if you think someone else would enjoy the show, please share it with them. Go give us a thumbs up on YouTube, rate us on whatever podcast app that you're listening to. Go share the website, which we're getting ready to redesign, and we're going to add some new things to it, but yourmoneypuzzle.com is that. Until next week, be safe, be healthy. Go out and do something to improve your money puzzle. Your future self will thank you for it. We'll see you again real soon.
Have a good week.
Registered representative of and securities offered through Securities Management and Research, Inc., SM&R. Member FINRA SIPC. Investment advisory services offered through BFC Planning, Inc. Edgen Insurance and Financial Services, Johnson Financial Services, SM&R, American National Family of Companies, and BFC Planning are independent entities. There are risks involved with investing which may include market fluctuation and possible loss of principal value. Particular investments may not be suitable for certain situations. Carefully consider the risks and possible consequences involved prior to making an investment decision. Our firm does not provide legal or tax advice. Be sure to consult with your own legal and tax advisors before taking any action that may have tax implications.